So this is the fourth day of this 7-day retreat here at Southern Dharma. And the topic of our retreat is Unfettering the Natural Mind, the Path of Clear Seeing. And we are reading and commenting on the text, The Mirror of Clear Meaning, which was a treasure text of the great treasure finder, Newton Dorji. And just quickly before we begin, someone noticed that in the tanka, in the painting of this rainbow body, Padmasambhava, behind me, I had said that above him is a small blue Buddha, the Buddha of the empty nature of mind. Samantabhadra, the all-good Buddha. Because our Buddha mind, our true mind, is the repository of all goodness. All good qualities reside within. And then somebody just wrote me a note. They happened to notice that there's somebody with the Sky Buddha, and human beings having the kind of minds they have, they wondering, what is she doing there? And as I said, she is his wife, Samantabhadri. And it is very common in the Tantric Buddhist tradition that often all types of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are represented with their consort. And they are represented with their consort in union. Union means sexual union. Sexual union is because it is in the human realm, from human understanding, that is often an experience in the human realm where two various principles, in this case male and female, unite and become one, inseparable. And traditionally in Buddhist iconography, well, there are various reasons, but just simply the female principle is, in this case, is considered prajna, wisdom, emptiness. And while the male then is the active, which means that no matter what the activity, it is inseparable from the inherent empty, all-knowing nature, which is represented by the female. In Buddhist iconography, prajna paramita is female. So those of you who are sitting in this retreat and find yourself fortunate enough to be born in a female body, please remember that. And the next question is, can you speak to awareness and death? Is being alive not a condition of awareness? That is a very interesting question. And if you are a good meditator, and if you come to some degree of realization, direct experience of your true mind, this pure awareness, you will find the answer to that at your death. But in the meantime, you've already seen in your investigations of your mind's awareness, of your mind nature, that it doesn't seem to have a beginning or an end. You cannot find a place where it starts and stops, and you cannot remember a time when it was not present. That should give you a hint. But again, as the great Zen master said in answer to a similar question, he said, in life, identify with life. At death, identify with death. It's as simple as that. So I can't say anything in addition to that. That's good enough for me. So let us return to this wonderful text, the Mirror of Clear Meaning. And today is day 4. So we need to move along here. Again, has been stated several times, the first 10 or 12 of the verses dealt with the setting, and now we are in this pristine teaching. Jun yesterday asked, are there any shortcuts up the mountain? This is the shortcut. This is the direct path to Buddhahood. It cuts out everything and goes right to the realization of the very mind of all Buddhas. So this is the shortcut. But you got to take it. So again, as it is said, I'll just repeat, the Buddhas in past, present, and future all have traveled the path of these teachings, and now we are the fortunate ones. The heart essence of all the Buddhas is just this and nothing else. If you gain an irreversible realization of this teaching, you will gain the understanding of a Buddha. It is like a wish-fulfilling jewel. But you must practice the wisdoms of listening, reflecting, and meditating diligently and without sloppiness. And then your own mind is the root of all phenomena. Phenomena for each one of you is everything. Everything you could ever see, hear, taste, touch, feel, sense, anything you could possibly think, remember, right? All of that is arising in your own mind. Your own mind is the root of phenomena. And then it asks, where does it come from? Where does it rest? Where do you go? Where does it go? What shape? What color? Again, this direct path, this shortcut says, don't get hung up on endless phenomena. Don't get hung up on endless religious practices, religious studies, text. Look directly at this mind, because this mind is the same as the mind of the Buddhas, of all Buddhas, all masters. So you need to examine it closely. What is it? Right? Where is it? What does it look like? Does it have a shape? Does it have a color? Does it come? Does it go? Right. What is it like when you're active? What is it like when it's resting? So this is all you need to do. Sometimes it appears as a thinker. Sometimes it appears as a hearer. Sometimes it appears as a seer. Sometimes it appears as a seeker. Sometimes it appears as somebody who asks questions. It appears in all kinds of ways. But its nature is always the same. Watch it carefully. Don't take your eye off it for a moment, and you will know it. What is called mind cannot be identified as this or that. It is not an entity. It has no defining characteristics. If you search for it, it cannot be found because it has been empty from the very beginning without substantial essence. Empty, it is beyond expression, untouched by birth, death, coming, going. Answer to the question. It is not created by any cause nor destroyed by any condition. It remains untouched, in emptiness, free of increase, decrease, development, decline, any kind of change. What is the Master talking about? Your mind. Is that clear? Your mind. Free of artifice, from the very beginning, awareness remains unimpeded. You listen, you look effortlessly. You even understand effortlessly. not intellectual understanding, experiential understanding. When this is experienced, youthful, fresh awareness is released from its covering pot, and you see your own face, the natural mode of infinite goodness. And we ended with this verse yesterday. If it is not grasped, awareness loses continuity and becomes stupid. This is called co-emergent ignorance. Appearances and emptiness are falsely split, and our experience is a separate thing. We enter the world of separation and duality. Bound by the fetter of a grasping subject and a graspable object, the ignorance of reified identification develops. Is this clear? Good. So we will continue. Non-existent and existent things are both grasped at as real. So he's continuing what happens when the split occurs between subject and object, and there is this reification of identification. Everybody know what identification is? How we identify with ourselves. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm big, I'm tall, I'm black, I'm white, I'm a what? I'm screwed up. I'm a victim of abuse. I'm wounded. I'm not wounded. Right? I'm happy. I'm sad. I'm smart. I'm stupid. I'm successful. I'm a failure. Right? All of these are ways that we identify. They're just words and labels. But the problem is we reify them. We make them real because why? Because we don't understand they're just words and labels. We identify them. We think, that's me. And once you go down that road, anybody ever go down that road? You're lost. You're lost. And it just gets, right? Year after year, it just gets bigger and deeper and more, right? More and more tentacles. I said to somebody yesterday, it's like the tar baby. Remember the tar baby? Right? Remember the tar baby? Like, every time you try to extricate yourself out, you think you're extricated, that which extricated you is now stuck. Right? It's endless. You will never extricate yourself from the world of identification because the very problem is identification. Even when you identify and say, well, I used to be screwed up, but now I'm healthy. You're still identifying yourself as something. Okay. Non-existent and existent things are both grasped at as real. Let me just read the verse and then we'll talk. Non-existent, existent things are both grasped at as real. Being bound by the confusion of self-identification, you experience a self doing the grasping, with notions of I and me developing in your stream of consciousness. As the cause developing attraction and aversion, there arises a samsaric activity of the afflictions of the five poisons: stupidity, ignorance, aversion, attraction, pride, and jealousy. From one cause, many of the other causes arise, i.e., the complexity of samsara. I mean, could anything be clearer than this? Okay, this is how it all, very succinctly. This is how it all develops, right? From this initial misperception of subject and object, of beginning to label the world, right? We look at phenomena. What's phenomena? Everything. And when he says existent and non-existent, of course, at its essence, everything, well, anyhow, we won't go into that. But it just means, there are things, that are existent, we might say, in a temporary way. So I could say, well, these flowers in a temporary way exist because I look at them and see them, right? And then I take my eyes away and I look at them again, and there they are. So in this moment, they continue to have this temporary existence. On the other hand, something like a thought, a mental thing, when you look at it, it disappears. Right? It disappears. There's nothing there. So, but anyhow, he's saying In this deluded mind of ours, we'll grab at anything. Okay? We'll grab at anything. We'll grasp. Grasping, it means, this is very important. This is how it all begins, right? There is this awareness, right? Like all you are aware of me. And at the same time, you may be aware of me as something, as seen. You may be aware of words, of voices, something to be heard. You also may be aware of people around you. You may be aware of the wind, and you may be aware of all kinds of things, right? At that moment of pure awareness, you're just aware, right? To grasp means the mind, leaves its pristine awareness and begins to move toward an object, mental or physical, and begins to grab onto it. How do we grab onto it? We begin to think about it. We label it. Let me just continue. All right. Because we are confused by the confusion of self-identification, right? Not only is there that movement toward, right, whether it is a physical thing or even a mental thing, because of the delusion of self-identification, we think there is a self that is doing this. So there is an object. Right? And in the movement of the eyes and the contact with the object, there is a positive, right, response. There is a liking or an attraction. Right? Now, because we posit a self here, we just are not aware that there is a liking, there is a what? There is an I that is liking this. Right? So what happens in our development as human beings, from childhood and infancy up, is more and more there is this reification that everything is predicated on me. I like, I need, I want, I must have. I like this, I don't like that, right? So we attach I and me and mine to everything, right? Like right now, I could be going, these are my flowers, right? Did I make these flowers? No. Did I create them? No. Did I cut them, buy them? No. Did I even put them here? No. And yet, this mind of ours can say, my flowers. Right? Everybody like my flowers? You see? And all of a sudden, I can begin to notice that some of my flowers aren't looking any good. Right? They're dying. And I can begin to get a little disappointed at the transiency of life. I can get a little, about the flower people, and they're not doing their job, putting dead flowers on the teacher's thing. I get a little angry, and you know what I mean? And a little haughty over here. Right? I could do all kinds of things, couldn't I? As the self has, but it all began with what? The self-grasping. Who knows? After this, I could just blast Nancy. Nancy could be miserable, right? She could see Jun and just trip her on purpose, She's, and it'll just go on and on and on, right? And it all began where? On a fundamental misperception. And this goes on from morning till night. So so not only is this remember, this is the in Buddhism, in Buddhist psychology, the fundamental, this co-emergent ignorance begins with this fundamental of not knowing the true nature of mind and self. Not knowing that, one reaches out at phenomena and grasps at it. tries to hold on to it, and does it all again in the name of self, of me, of Fred. With notions of I and me developing in your stream of consciousness as the cause developing attraction aversion, there arises a samsaric activity of the afflictions of the five poisons: stupidity, aversion, attraction, pride, and jealousy. What this means is that all the mental characteristics, all the emotions are now going to be put in play. Is that clear? All starting for this, right? All starting for this. You know, if I don't get what I want something, and if I don't, and when my want could be a thing, or it could be an event, it could be a person, it could be a situation, it could be something abstract, right? I want happiness. I want a good relationship. Who knows what we want? I want world peace. And if we don't get what we want, we get what? Frustrated, angry, hurt, scared, somebody's got what we want, we get jealous. It's on and on, we get obsessive, we get greedy, we get, we want, we need. Do I need to go on? It's endless. We get depressed, we get anxious. Right? All because of this fundamental misidentification, misperception. From one cause, all the other causes arise. The whole complexity of your emotional life. You know what I'm talking about? The whole complexity of your life, of your thoughts. The whole thing is all, your emotions is all arising from this fundamental misperception of not knowing the true nature of your own mind, not knowing the true nature of self. That is why it is said, you know the one thing, you know everything. Is that clear? That's why this is so easy. But it's hard because we don't buy it. We are so addicted to just messing around endlessly in the realm of conceptualization. Endlessly trying to fix it and make it right. You've heard me say before, it's like you're in prison and you never think about getting out. All you know is, how can I redecorate my cell? Maybe a little softer mattress, right? A few nice pictures on the wall. It should be wonderful they put a window in here. That is the lot of human beings. They never think, do I really want to live in a prison cell my whole life? Or do I want to be free? This teaching directly, Jun, this is the direct shortcut. You don't have to slosh up that 5-day trail with everybody else. This is the shortcut, right up to the top. So again, obviously much could be said. This is really a very profound aspect of Buddhist teaching, how we got to where we are. Are there any questions, anything not clear, just in its simplicity and directness? Yes?
When I forgot the words that I wanted to use. When does that chain begin? Does it begin with the liking or disliking? Or does it begin with thinking after the liking or disliking?
Again, the liking and the disliking, the kind of just very natural attraction towards some things and not attracted toward other things, or just neutral about some things, is a natural part. It's just natural. Okay. It is when it gets reified by an I, a self, that begins to identify all these likes and dislikes with me. Right? So it is no longer just a simple movement toward or away. It is something reified. It becomes something solid. Right? So we say, no, I never do that. Oh, I would never do that. Oh, I hate that food. Oh, I would want to go there. Right? You see, that's where, we're strong in our likes and our dislikes. And often it has nothing to do with the object at all. Right? I mean, I may say I prefer this to that, but I mean, is my tongue incapable of eating most things? Right? It's just a whole world of tastes. And I guess, people could be allergic, or there could be certain things that are at the extremes. But in most cases, why do we know in most cases? Because human beings all over the world all eat different kinds of food and seem to do quite well with it. Right? I mean, do Vietnamese people have different tongues? You know what? No, I mean, good. I just want to make sure. And yet, forgive me for picking on. That's what I get for sitting up here. But I mean, there may be, there may be certain things that we go, ooh, and vice versa, of course, right? Right, durian like that, right? But other people love it, right? A wonderful taste. So again, it's this conditioning, but we reify our conditioning through its identification, and then we're stuck with it, and we're in this world of rigidity, right? So you see, some of us have so much trouble in the world because we always want things our way. And when we always want things our way, then we're always disturbed when things aren't our way. Right? We make ourselves such a what do you call it? What's that one up on the mattresses? The Princess and the Pea. You know what I mean? We are just so easily disturbed. Our equilibrium is so easily disturbed. Our needs and wants are so strong that we find very difficult to move around the world with all different types of situations and people. And I mean, even sitting here, right? I mean, we can create all kind of dramas. Right? My body's not feeling the way I want it to feel, and it's not this, and the cushion's not right, and this isn't right, and the weather's not, we could, right? The bed's not right, that this isn't right, the temperature's not right, the food's not right, right? We could come here and be miserable, couldn't we? We all have that wonderful capacity to make ourselves miserable no matter where we are. And it is all created by this deluded mind that begins with fundamental ignorance. Right? What is a bad night's sleep? A bad night's sleep is a bad night's sleep. That's all it is. It's no big deal. What is sleepiness? It's just sleepiness. Right? Yes.
I'd like to follow up, I guess, on Ann's question. It seems like all of us, humans, without exception, go down this deluded.
Well, you don't know that. You just know about Andrew.
True.
Correct. So let's just keep it right to Andrew. We have no idea what other sentient beings are up to.
Even the Buddha had to train and work and practice many, many years to realize, to let go of the delusions. And so the question is, I mean, we're unfettering the natural mind, and yet it seemed to be very simple for Andrew to go down this deluded path.
So the question, I'm unclear. So the question, so that's a statement that it's very easy for you to go down deluded paths.
And I suspect I'm not the only one.
Well, then we don't know. Don't you go?
Just
I mean, let us. In Buddhism, we always hope good wishes for all beings. So let us hope. So hope that no one else, just you, are going down. All right? So then for your concern is what? That you, even though you have this unfettered natural mind, cannot stop yourself from going down these deluded highways and byways.
It's so easy.
It is so easy. Yeah, of course. It is so easy because it is so natural. It seems normal. And you so totally identify that this is what life's about, right? That never in a million years would you question it. Again, as I said earlier, you accept the fact that that you live in prison, that you were born in prison, you live in prison, right? And the best you're trying to do, like everybody else, is try to get a little bit of comfort in yourself, right? You know what I mean? Like if you've ever been in prison, and if you got some sense of wanting to not to be a terrible experience, you try to get one of the better jobs, right? Get one of the better jobs. Right? A little more freedom, a little better perks. Right? Kind of move up the hierarchy. Now you're a trustee in the prison. Get a little better, maybe they moved you to a better cell block. Maybe you're not in there with 20 other people. You maybe just, got your own room, or you're just sharing a room. A few extra perks. How do you feel? Great. Doesn't get any better than this. Parentheses, in prison. Right? Okay. So that's the human condition, right? So then something wonderful happens. Something miraculous happens. Something that you, left to your own device, Andrew, would never figure out, right? There is someone who is living outside of prison. Right? No bars, no walls, no regimen, right? No barbed wire, no same day after same day. Like say in prison they call it 3 hots and a cot. Right? That's what it's, some people think that's great. 3 hots and a cot. Right? But there's something, right? Wow, they're out there. Free. Right? And rather than just living that free life, going at ease wherever they are, enjoying, right? They notice that everybody else is in prison. And they don't even know it, do they? They don't even know it because they grew up in prison. They're the children of people, who live in prison. And this person, rather than just continuing to enjoy their freedom, realizing the condition of all these people that are just like him or her, they, pay close attention, Andrew, the only way they can help the people in prison is they have to go into prison themselves. Right? So they take on prison garb. And they live within the prison, but secretly, they begin to pass the word that there is another whole life outside of prison walls. Right? Most people what? Don't believe it. What are you talking about? I'm just trying to move up the hierarchy. Trying to get a little better food. A nicer bed. New kitchen cabinets. Right? Cabin in the mountains. I mean, don't bother me. But there may be some that it strikes a chord with. And when it is mentioned to them that there is another life and there is a freedom and ease of life that is beyond the prison walls, again, it strikes a chord. And slowly he begins to teach them. You know what he's teaching them? How to break out. You know those breakout movies? This is the guy behind it all. Not everybody wants to go, right? Remember those movies? You got to get down there in the tunnel and take it out. Right? Yeah. So it's like that. So it's, this goes back to the Buddha. We know that in the story of the life of the Buddha, that after his great enlightenment, and he was just experiencing the bliss of freedom, he spent 7 weeks just in pure, it's not in self-indulgence, just enjoyment of that. And when he thought about actually the people in prison, his thought was, who's going to be, this is really in the dialogue, who's going to be interested in this? They're all so busy, you know what I mean? Everybody's so busy. They got their jobs, they got their families, they got their to-do lists, they're all saving up for retirement. Who's going to be, who's going to be interested in this? And he really thought, no one. No one. And then, they're different. Some say it was some Burmese traders. Some say it was the guard Brahma or whatever. Came to the Buddha, or Buddha encountered them. And when they saw him, they knew he was the Buddha, an enlightened one. And when they said, come teach in the world, and he said, but again, who's going to be interested? They said to him, it's a famous line, you've probably heard me say it before, that there are those in the world that the dust of worldliness is not heavy on their eyelids. The dust of worldliness, the dust of ignorance doesn't lie heavy. And really we can see that their eye, when he talks about eyelids, he's talking about their minds, right? Their minds are not totally ensnared in this world of appearances, in this world of seeing phenomena, mental and physical phenomena as real, endlessly grasping at that from identification of self and other. He said there are people who are in that, but it's not so heavy, it's not so deep. The the dust is not, covering everything. So there will be some. And so the Buddha, fortunate for us, he taught. And obviously, in those days, there were enough people that not only listened to his teaching, but reflected on the teachings deeply and became his followers. And we know he was able to have many enlightened followers, many different followers of realization, and that's the beginning of Buddhism. It all comes from those human beings, that the lineage has continued to this day. Okay? Non-existent and existent things are both grasped at as real. Being bound by the confusion of self-identification, you experience a self doing the grasping, with notions of I and me developing in your stream of consciousness. As the cause developing attraction and aversion, there arises a samsaric activity of the afflictions of the 5 poisons of stupidity, aversion, attraction, pride, and jealousy. From one cause many of the other causes arise, that is, all the complexity of worldly life. Okay? So that's it in a nutshell. The next line reads, please pay close attention. When you understand the falsity of your confusion, remain unartificially, effortlessly in the natural mode. Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya refers to the truth. Kaya is body. The Buddha has different bodies. Has a Dharma body, has a Dharmakaya, has Sambhogakaya, or Nirmanakaya, has these bodies. The body that we see in the physical Buddha is the Nirmanakaya, the form body. The Buddha appears as a living being, appears with an awakened mind, has a mastery of all the wisdoms, has a mastery of all the skills and competencies needed to understand the condition of sentient beings, and knows how to free each and every one of them. A Buddha has an awakened mind, is able to see into the nature and karma of every human being, so therefore knows very intuitively and naturally what it is that is fettering them and how to go about releasing them. That is the form that it takes. But here he's saying the realization, they're back. Last year they had a nest out there. Oh, that's sweet. They're back. But now, in this case, we're talking about the Dharmakaya. So this is the blue Buddha. Right? This is the empty nature of Buddha mind. Okay? Not the form, not the appearance, and not the luminosity, radiant knowing, Sambhogakaya, but is the empty nature of mind. Empty, again, don't make that into a big deal. See, everybody's here making it, ooh, Dharmakaya, wow. Remember that? It's up. We're talking about your mind, the empty nature of your mind. Right? This mind that is listening to me right now. When you look for it, you cannot find it. When you look for a thing called your mind that you think is listening to this talk, you cannot find it. It has no color, it has no shape, it has no form, it has no beginning, it has no end. Therefore, it is what? Empty. It is not a thing. When you realize that, you have realized your Buddha mind, Dharmakaya. So he says, when you understand the falsity of your confusion, hopefully because of this prior paragraph, everybody now understands the falsity of their confusion. Right? What's our confusion? Identification, reification, self, other, grasping at objects, right? And all the drama and the melodrama that we have lived through endlessly trying to change, fix, revise, work through, resolve issues endlessly, right? We're looking the other way. We're looking into the very mind that thinks it has all these issues. Right? Everybody, again, remember we asked in the beginning, how many people here have issues? Okay, plenty? Good. How many people are working through those issues? All right. That which is saying that which knows it has issues, that's what you got to know. Because think about that for a moment. There is something in me that knows I have issues. What is that? It can't be something that has issues, right? Because it is able to see that I have issues. I mean, if it had issues, it couldn't see it, right? It'd have its own issues. So what is it that has the capacity of telling me and everybody else I know about my issues? What is that? Susan says, interesting. What is that? What is that that is bigger than your issues? Right? All your issues are arising where? In this mind. But we're just focusing on what? The issues. This is all about what? Focusing on the mind that is aware of the issues. Is this clear? We're always lost in thought, right? Trying to think our way. We're even trying to think our way into this one. Keep your eye on the thinker, right? Seems to be somebody thinking these thoughts, right? Or why would you be bothered thinking them? True or not true? Who is this thinker? Know the one thing, and you'll know everything, right? How many thoughts have you had this lifetime? Has psychiatry ever come up with numbers? What? How many would you say? You're a professional.
6 times 10 to the 29th.
6 times 10. That's good. Is that many?
Gazillions.
Gazillions. All right. And these gazillion of thoughts are all issuing from what we might perceive as what? The thinker. There's a thinker who's thinking these gazillions of thoughts, right? To know each and every one of these gazillions of thoughts would take gazillions of time. But knowing the one thing takes just an instant. Is that clear? So, when you understand the falsity of your confusion, remain unartificially, effortlessly in the natural mode. This and again, we'll develop it a little more over the next little bit of days, is getting at the heart of the Dzog-chen, the great perfection, the Hatha Yoga practice. It is this capacity to, in a total, unartificial, effortless way, live a totally natural and spontaneous life, and there is no need to control or manipulate anything. Thoughts are no longer the problem. Concentration is no longer the object. Learning to rest in one's natural mind. There was a Zen master who said, was asked, what is Buddha mind? He said, everyday mind is Buddha mind. What is everyday mind? This mind that each of us works with, is all day long. Right? Brushes teeth, eats, likes flowers, doesn't like things too salty. This is your everyday mind. You don't need to interfere with it because you understand that all these thoughts and feelings and perceptions and all phenomena, that there's inherently nothing there. Right? Right? Buddhism, it's, the rope and the snake. Right? In the dark, you see this shape. It's obviously, the story from India. Well, there are snakes here too, I guess. But anyhow, places with lots of snakes. And snakes are dangerous. And people, in those cultures live very close to nature. Houses are very open, so snakes in the house were not too uncommon, right? And a lot of them were dangerous. So see a snake, see this form, get scared, right? Walk come into your house at night, see this thing on the ground, get scared, terrified, run about. But when you turn on the light, it wasn't a snake, it was just a piece of rope. No need to be afraid. When you see what it is, right? Because it looked like a snake, you thought it was a snake. Because you thought it was a snake, and because in your mind snakes are dangerous, you therefore got scared. Because you got scared, you ran about. Started yelling, waking up everybody in the village, right? Snake, taken out, right? Everybody's, right? Because we think we have issues, what do? We get ourselves all bent out of shape. And then what do? We run around telling everybody we know about our issues and get them all bent out of shape about our issues, right? But that's not enough. They start telling us all about their issues, so we get all bent out of shape about their issues. And nobody stops and looks. What is it? Is there anything real there? Because, and we are going to continue over these next days, because we are looked into our mind, because we are watching our thoughts and learning about thoughts, what they really are. And hopefully with the meditation we've done so far, a number of you have already gotten a taste of what thoughts really are. They're nothing. They're no thing. They have no self-existence. They are not permanent. They are just flowers in air. They're just passing through. You look at them, what happens? Next time a thought comes by, just stop and look at it. You know what'll happen? It'll disappear. Now, are you going to run your life and your emotional life and your relationships based on something that has no substance, and all you got to do is look at it and it disappears? You can't even remember what you thought 4 minutes ago. Or 5 minutes ago, or 6 minutes ago. All the thoughts we've had since we woke up this morning, where are they? Where are they? All the important thoughts. You know all the important thoughts that you gave a lot of attention to? Where are they? Gone. What a waste of time. Right? Norm was concerned just about wasting a life, right? But, the life is over. That's all past. How about right now? Are we wasting our time just indulging ourselves in things that are essentially have no substance? Have no basic intelligence? Are based on a fundamental misperception? Therefore, when you understand the falsity of your confusion, which means what? That you're no longer confused. That you know that even your confusion, when you look right at it, is nothing. It just disappears. So when you are no longer confused about the nature of thoughts, the nature of self, the nature of mind. Whose self, whose mind? Yours. Whose thoughts? Yours. When you are no longer confused, then you can what? Relax. In Dzog-chen it is called natural ease. Natural ease. The practitioner of the great perfection is not uptight, not stressed. At ease. Natural. Not because they're on drugs. Just because they understand the nature of mind, the nature of phenomena. Right? Is that clear? So when everybody's running around, right in the village, all about the snake, what does Jun do? She says, really? A snake? Come show me. Right? She takes her torch, looks, says, look, it's just a what? Just a rope. Nothing to be scared of. That's the way we want to be with our friends and family. Right? Somebody who shows the truth of the way things are. That would be helpful. Instead, we just join them running around, screaming and yelling. As if the latest crisis is a disaster. Remain unartificially, effortlessly in the natural mode. Again, this is getting at the core of Zen and Dzog-chen. You don't have to put on airs. You don't have to put on robes. You don't have to get religious implements. You don't have to act spiritual. You don't have to do any of that. When you see people like that, you know there's no realization. Because the realization shows that things just as they are. You don't have to, in Zen it's called, you don't have to put another head. You already have one. You don't now have to go and get a Zen head or an awakened head or a Vipassana head or a Dzog-chen head or a spiritual head or a religious head. Multiple heads. You already have a good head. Right? Remain effortlessly, unartificially in the natural mode. Remain relaxed in the unwavering display of this state. In the natural state, whether you're in meditation or not, things are arising, are they not? Thoughts are arising, feelings may arise, a memory may arise, sights may arise, sounds may arise, right? All kinds of things may arise. This is just, in Dzog-chen, this is called the display, the magical display of your mind. That's all it is. Anybody ever been to a fireworks show? We might call that a display. When you watch a fireworks show, what do you have to do? A lot to do? A lot of work? What? No. You just sit there and go, wow. 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 Am I right? You don't have to do anything. If you watch your mind, it is amazing. Is it not? From morning till night, it'll just display all kinds of things. Right? It is the most wondrous thing, this mind of ours. Right? It can go to the past, it can go to the future, it can imagine this, it can fantasize about that, right? What is more wondrous than your mind? You could even, if you're good at imagination, you could even, say, wow, yeah, fireworks. I like fireworks. I'll just close my eyes and imagine a firework, right? And you could just do it. Some people, right? Incredible, this mind of ours. Remain relaxed in the unwavering display of this state. This is the key. If you're not relaxed at the fireworks show, you go, oh, it's too noisy. It hurts my ears. Or it was much better last year. They must be cutting back. This isn't that great. Right? Can you see? Or wow, that's, wow, I'm going to go out and buy some. I'm going to go get some of those for myself. Right? Or, I don't know, what else could we do?
Smells like gunpowder.
Well, we can start this. Smells like gunpowder. We can go endlessly, right? Or we can just relax and do nothing and just enjoy the display. It is what it is. If you try to hold on to it with forced recollection, then it will be difficult for the natural condition to be self-liberating in its own place. These are Dzog-chen terms, very powerful terms. This whole idea of, well, it's not an idea, of self-liberation. It's the idea of, again, coming back to the snake. Right? When you see a snake, right? Even a poisonous snake, do you have to grab it? No. Do you have to hit it? No. If you just stop and just stop and watch it, in time it will what? It will. That's called self-liberation. The snake will take care of itself. You don't have to do anything. If you maintain this relaxed awareness, if you know the nature of phenomena, including especially mental phenomena, mental and physical phenomena can arise all day and disappear. And you can be present, you can be aware, but you don't grasp it, nor do you forced recollection. How many people find it is very difficult not to have an experience without thinking about it afterwards, recalling it, remembering it, right? That is what he's talking about. Here he's talking more specifically about trying to hang on to a meditative experience, right? Trying to make it into something. When you make it into something, you are in the world of thought. You've left the world of reality. All recollection is thought. It's a mental representation. It's not real. Is that clear? This is very powerful. This is only for the big boys and girls, this teaching. If you hold on to it, and here again he's talking about a meditation state or an insight, anything, but it really could see anything. Then it'll be difficult for the natural condition to be self-liberating its own place. Because why? Because there's that snake. If you grab it, something may happen. Right? Not always. They're all different kinds of snakes. But when you grab it, something's going to happen. Can you let the snake be? We don't have to kill it, do we? Just let it be. It will go. There's a famous Buddhist text says called "The Better Way to Catch a Snake." Perhaps some of you have read it. Keep recollection and awareness in the fresh state of natural occurrence, the state free of strong grasping. Now here, I think the emphasis is a little different. Here he's talking, and maybe he was referring to it earlier. In other words, short of full Buddhahood and masterhood or whatever that, there has to be a certain degree of recollection, right? We have to remember to rest in this natural awareness, right? There has to be a recollection about not wandering into past and future, right? There has to be a recollection about the way things are. Is that clear? So he's saying it shouldn't be forced or artificial, right? He says keep that in a fresh state of natural occurrence. So, many people, let's say in their meditation, they find that they are lost in a story, right? And I got to drop the damn story, and I got caught again, and I got to drop it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of struggle, right? And they drop it, and then they go back to it, and it becomes another whole drama. And that's called forced, right? Forced. An easier way is, in Dzog-chen, you just simply look at it. And in that looking, you will immediately see that it is nothing, right? And immediately when you see that there's nothing there, immediately you are back in your state of awareness. There's nothing you have to do. Can you see? Immediately it's there. So You want to have your awareness and your practice of recollection not be so tight, not so forced, not so strained. Many people practice their meditation in that very tight and rigid way. In Dzog-chen, everything is done with ease. No strain. If you awaken to the falsity of your confused existence, you are a Buddha, free of ground and root. If you awaken to the falsity of your confused existence, and we're going to end here today, please hear this. If you awaken to the falsity of your confused existence, you see, most of us, coming back to our prison analogy, we are aware that we are in our confused existence, right? And we are working very hard to turn it around, right? We're just working on this one. We're just trying to get this confused existence to be unconfused, right? Working, working, working. There's nobody like Americans who love work projects. And we love to just make our spiritual Dharma practice into just a series of work projects. And I'm going to straighten up my confused existence. That's my, right? That's my goal for this year. I'm going to just straighten up my confused existence. Please pay attention. If you awaken to the falsity of your confused existence, that's all you need to do. See, the whole ground of the whole thing is just based on a false premise, and in that moment you're liberated. Confusion just dissipates. People come to you and they say, oh, I get this big problem, this one, my daughter's this and this and that, but no, it's such a problem. There's no problem, it's just life, right? And in any situation in life, there's just something you got to do, right? You do this, you do that, you don't do anything. I mean, what's the problem? There are no problems in life. The only problem is our thoughts about situations. We turn our life into problems. We turn our spiritual practice into problems. No wonder we're confused. Because we're lost in endless thoughts about, opinions about, concerns about. All that's going on where? Wherever it is. We don't know where it is, do we? We're just tying this pristine awareness, this empty, clear mind, and we're just turning it into mass confusion. It's amazing there aren't more road accidents. If you awaken to the falsity of your confused existence, you are a Buddha free of ground and root. So we will stop here for the day. Meditation today. Diane, could you instruct everybody in space gazing and sky meditation? Both how to do it inside and outside. And then when you do some practice with them, when they are experiencing bringing that space inside into their minds, in that context, have them examine the arising, the resting, and the passing of thoughts. Okay, good.
Due to technical difficulties, Fred's talk from Day 5 of this 7-day retreat at Southern Dharma in June 2013 wasn't recorded. Following is a summary of the main points that Fred taught that day. We apologize for this omission. Fred began the day by reminding us of the simplicity of remaining in awareness, letting everything come and go without disturbing this natural mind. We should recognize this continual display that cannot be controlled, but which we can see for what it is, empty of any permanence, not real. If we don't see that this display is empty, we'll be confused by wrong thoughts and will identify with whatever confused thoughts arise. When we believe there is an I or a me, we see everything else as separate and real also. This is why we're able to hate, kill, ignore each other, because we see ourselves falsely as separate. We believe our thoughts, memories, perceptions, and recollections are real. We then try to use our thoughts to resolve our quote-unquote issues. Fred asked, where is an issue created? Issues are created in our heads with our thoughts. And how funny that we create the issue, suffer with it, then work it out, and congratulate ourselves for solving our self-created issues. It's like the person who starts the fire and then calls it in and is considered a hero. It's also like trying to clean blood with blood. There's no cleansing. It simply makes the blood stronger and messier. And that's what happens when we try to resolve thoughts and issues created by thoughts with more thoughts. Notice also how we're always the hero in our stories. Everyone else has a bit part, but there's always such a feeling of a real me at the center of the drama. Fred taught that when thoughts arise about the immutable nature, in other words, everything that arises, that our practice is to remain relaxed without trying to push the thoughts away, replace them, or cut them off. Random, confusing thoughts of every kind will arise as they may. As Newton Dorje taught, like the wind or a waterfall in the mountains, our thoughts cannot be stopped. We have no control over them, but our practice is not to follow them, not to chain them together, not to believe what they tell us, just to notice as the display of the mind includes thoughts and everything else. That's all thoughts are, the display of the mind. They'll subside on their own. Fred told us that without a ground that leads to suffering, and this ground is an identification with self, without this ground, the natural condition of our minds is empty. Awareness is emptiness and clarity. Fred also told us that in this practice of clear seeing, what we consider meditation is different than what we may have considered it to be in the past. In this practice, meditation means the natural, open state of our minds, letting everything arise and pass, free of grasping. So these lessons of self-created issues, of believing thoughts, and the practices of not holding on, of not replacing, pushing away thoughts, but just letting them arise and pass away while we remain in that natural state of awareness as a watcher, that these teachings may feel like strong, bitter medicine that'd be bitter to the self, but very potent and very powerful for helping us to awaken. So this concludes the summary of Day 5.